Alright, so I've got all the spoons here ready to go. I have 3 brass, 3 airframe, and 2 polished aluminum because I didn't realize that I didn't prepare a 9th spoon. So the 3 colors that I'm going to be trying out is going to be all Tamiya clear colors. It's going to be yellow, orange, and red clear colors. Can't really see them there, but there they are. So I'm going to be thinning with regular X28 thinner. I'm going to go ahead and prepare this and start the video again. Alright, so hopefully this is enough. I might need a little more, but looking between the airframe and polished aluminum, they're pretty similar. They're quite similar. Now I put this on in a hurry. I didn't really take care with it, but I'd say the airframe is a little bit shinier. It might give me a different finish, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with polished aluminum. Clear red. Move these out of the way and start spraying. So at first I can barely see the clear red go through. You can just slightly see the red starting to appear on the spoon. I don't want to go too fast and too thick. I want to slowly build it up, because to get that nice candy finish, I want it all to be the same thickness of paint. If not, I'm going to have streaks, but just with that little amount, I'm already starting to see a pretty cool effect with the aluminum. I'm sure with an even higher, more highly polished chrome, the effect would be even better. I'm just going ahead and reloading the airbrush. Just kind of eyeballing the paint to thinner ratio here. Clear color can be pretty forgiving about how much you thin, and it'll let you know right at the beginning whether or not you need to thin more. Better to start with less thin than overly thin, because you can always add more thinner. You can't take it back out. Alright, so let's keep spraying. Trying to slowly build up the color. And I don't want to go too thick, because it starts to pull up. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit. Let's go ahead and get started on the airframe. Airframe aluminum. So it's same deal here. At first, can't really see the color come through. And I'm putting on a little bit too much. I think it might be a little bit too thin. Go ahead and put a little bit more paint into the cup. Make sure I'm not going on too thin. So yeah, I have a little pooling here, and that's going to mess up my finish. I'm going to let that dry up, and I'll get started in the meantime with brass. Gotta make sure that, yeah, so this looks like it's got a good amount of thinner. Alright, looks alright. I'm gonna make sure I got the thinning ratio down well, and come back. Alright. So So I think, yeah, it's important not to over thin, because then you start getting these pools and they're going to show up on the final finish, and then you got to strip and start all over again. And although you can strip the Tamiya acrylic with alcohol or some Lysol, and it should not take off any lacquer, I don't know how that would affect the alclad underneath, because maybe the alclad would come off with it. Even though the alclad is suspended in lacquer, it's sort of a powder, so it can definitely come off, I think, if I decide to strip this now, and then you have to start all over again, at least from the gloss black stage. Make sure I'm not getting any overspray here. So, still building up this color. It's starting to look pretty nice. I still got that reflective finish. I'm sure after adding a clear coat, it's going to look even better. But even without a clear coat right now, it looks pretty cool. Definitely like how it's coming out. Let's turn this on, maybe it'll be a little better to see. I can imagine how nice this would look once it's decaled and you put a high gloss finish like super clear, or maybe even like 2K. Zero Paints 2K. Alright, this one is looking pretty nice. I think this is about the thickness that I would want to go. Once I'm actually doing this on a model. And time to add more paint. I'm going to go ahead and add a good amount of paint on here. I'll be back. Okay, so I've loaded up the airbrush again, and I've also upped the PSI a little bit. Try to get more paint out of here. A little quicker and a little drier. And I'm going for the airframe right now. I want to see how that pressure affects the finish. Let's see if it's better to spray it low and thin, or if it's better to spray it a little quicker. It's still building up. I still want to allow it to dry. Let's go ahead and do brass. We got barely any color on brass right now. I did have some pooling in the top right of the spoon. Alright, so now we're starting to see more color. Alright, I'm going to pause here because it's looking real wet and I don't want any pooling. So obviously there's a different finish with the brass underneath. I think you get a pretty similar finish to a gold. One thing to take note of is that you can notice any imperfections in the finish from previous layers. So any imperfections from the alclad layer or the gloss black layer, and maybe even the primer layer. So it won't really forgive you not doing your prep work correctly. If you do it correctly and you have a perfect smooth finish, this will also give you a great finish as well. If it's the opposite, then it's not going to look so hot. Alright, brass is still pretty wet. The polished aluminum is like right where I want it. It looks awesome. It looks really good. So I think I'm going to leave it alone, put it aside. Airframe is still a little wet. Hopefully I don't get any pooling. Alright, but I think this is going to be enough, so I'm going to put it aside as well. Alright, so I'm doing a final quick coat of the brass. I did have a little pooling on the right and top side. Hopefully once this dries it'll even out. But if not, thankfully it's a test. The color is still pretty cool. I don't know if it's what I'm looking for, but it looks pretty nice. I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave this to dry. Put a quick final coat on the other 2 spoons just to build up that color a little more, protect the alclad a little more until I run out of paint here. Do it until it's wet, and then stop. Alright, and I think that's it. I'm going to clean out the airbrush a little bit with some Lysol, and we'll get started on another color. Alright, so now I've taken a little bit of a different route. This time I'm using lacquer thinner rather than X20A. Using just regular Tamiya lacquer thinner. You could also, I guess, use Mr. Color leveling thinner for a very smooth finish, although it's going to take longer to dry, so you got to do it slower. And I'm interested to see how it comes out. I got clear orange in the airbrush. It's thinned on a about 1-to-1 ratio. And I'm going to go ahead and get started, like last time, with polished aluminum. I'm keeping it at the same PSI. I'm going to start kind of slow. I don't want to overload it. Keep in mind that this is Tamiya clear, acrylic clear. It's not the lacquers that come in the spray can. It's a little known secret that you can thin Tamiya acrylic with a hobby lacquer thinner such as the Tamiya lacquer thinner, and most of the time it works out just fine. And I'm noticing that the color is building up a little bit quicker using the lacquer thinner. It might even be drying a little faster. So maybe lacquer thinner is what you want to use for this sort of job. I guess this is kind of a roundabout sort of getaway to make your own clear lacquer if you don't happen to have some with you. Sort of a poor man's clear color. And I've already run out, so I'm going to go ahead and make some more. Alright, so looking at the polished aluminum so far, I'm getting sort of a golden color, which wasn't really what I was expecting. I'm getting a gold color. It looks orange when you put it up to the light. Let's go and turn on. It's kind of like a in between gold and orange. It's only orange when exposed to yellow light pretty up close. And when exposed to white light, such as this fluorescent light, it looks gold. I'm not sure if you can see that difference in the reflection. Alright, so let's go ahead and try the airframe. It's obviously orange when you paint it on a white surface, but it does weird things with this, I guess. Hopefully I'm not running out of paint already. Still got about half the cup. I really like how quickly it dries. I'm not really getting any pooling at all. It's going on super smooth. So definitely having a better experience than with the X20A. Do it a little bit more carefree and build it up quicker, and you still get a nice smooth finish. So now let's try out brass while these two are drying. Get all this crap out of the way. The other ones look pretty much how the brass looks without even having any clear paint on it. So I'm interested to see what it will look like with the clear orange on top of it. Alright, I'm sort of getting more of a actual orange finish with the brass, I think. At least I'm putting it in front of the yellow light. It just looks a little brighter with the brass. I'm not really sure how to describe it. The good thing is, for all these paints, I'm still maintaining a nice smooth finish, and I'm maintaining a reflective finish under the clear paint, which is what I'm going for. I'm sure it would look even better if we had used alclad chrome or another highly reflective chrome paint. Alright, so I'm still painting the brass with the clear orange, and I really like the effect that it's having. So far it's maintaining its reflection, but it's actually looking more orange than the aluminum. The aluminum is looking goldish, looking golden like, which is funny because out of all of these, the one that had an original golden color was the brass. I may just not have built up enough orange on the other spoons yet. Okay, so I'm out of paint again, and this is what we have so far. A darker orange color on the brass spoon. It basically looks like just like the cap, a little darker than the cap of the paint jar. The aluminum has a more, it's hard to describe. The contrast of it is darker, not the saturation. So the brass has a darker saturation of the orange, while the aluminum has a darker contrast. You can still kind of see that gloss black underneath, if that makes any sense. They both look cool. It just depends what you're going for. In white light, they have a different effect as well. I think I would go with the one with the brass, but again, depends what you're going for. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and mix some clear yellow next, and we'll see what else we can do. Maybe put some orange on top of the red, etc. Alright, so now I got clear yellow in the cup with Tamiya lacquer thinner, because I think it sprays a lot better than the X28 for this, for what we're doing. I'm going to start with the airframe, which I think has a bit of a brighter finish than the polished aluminum, and see what we get. I imagine we're going to get a very bright goldish sort of finish. Alright, so I'm starting to build up the color here. It's doing very interesting things. It's starting to look green. It's starting to look like a lemon sort of green. It's not what I was expecting, for sure. It's very interesting. Okay, so here we have alclad airframe aluminum, and you can't see very well now. Alclad airframe aluminum with clear yellow on top, and what I get, as far as I can see, is a very yellow green, not really yellow. I expected it to come out like this, but I was incorrect. It came out very yellow green, more on the green side. let's test that out on the brass and see if it actually comes out yellow on the brass. Okay, this is the final spoon, and we have clear yellow with lacquer thinner in the cup. I'm gonna spray the brass spoon. See what kind of weird stuff we get now. I'm thinking this one will actually look more yellow than the airframe aluminum did. I gotta be careful. I'm starting to pull up a little bit, let it dry. Even with lacquer thinner, you gotta go slow enough to let the paint dry, so you're not gonna be pulling. And now what I'm getting is a sort of greenish orange, if that makes any sense. Okay, so this one looks green and a little bit of yellow. This one looks orange and a little bit of green. Clear yellow is giving me really strange results. The clear yellow over the brass is looking kind of like a lighter version of the clear orange over the brass. It's hard to describe, but hopefully you can see it well enough in the video. So now what I want to try out is I'm going to pick one of these spoons, which it looks like the polished aluminum and the airframe aluminum are almost the same. They have their own little, they have a little bit of difference, but they look pretty much the same. And I'm going to go ahead and spray some clear orange over the red and vice versa on one of these spoons. I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the these both look so nice that I don't know, on the airframe red, and these look basically identical, so it doesn't really matter. Let all the other ones dry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some clear orange over the red and see what kind of effect we get. Alright, we're ready to start this experiment. I have some clear orange in the cup with lacquer thinner. We're going to spray it on the airframe red. That's looking super nice. And see what kind of effect we get. I'm going to try and just do the top half first. So far, I see no effect. Still not seeing really any effect on the top part of the spoon. I'm spraying until wet. Alright, ran out of paint. It's pretty wet. It honestly doesn't look like it did anything to me. It's still maintaining the same color. We'll let this dry, and in the meantime we're going to spray some clear red over the orange here. Alright, clear red with lacquer thinner on the polished aluminum orange. Let's see what we get. Alright, definitely noticing more of an effect on this spoon, which leads me to believe that the red might be, I don't know, stronger than the orange. Might be a good word. Probably darker would be the correct word that I'm looking for. It covers the orange. It's covering the orange, and I can definitely see that line now. Let's pause here real quick. So we can try and show you. It's hard to see with this lighting, but show this light and see. The top part where I sprayed the clear red just now basically looks like a lighter version of the other clear red spoons. And then you can see a bit of a transition in the middle where it actually looks kind of orange, and then it goes back to the more gold orange that the rest of the spoon has. So let's compare one of these. Let's compare it to the airframe orange. Yeah, the red definitely covers up the orange. I don't really see more of an effect. The red still looks like the original red. The orange looks like the original orange. It's cool for creating a gradient, but I can't really mix it. Can't really mix the two. Alright. So the final thing that I'm going to do, and checking the spoon where we sprayed the clear orange on top of, it did absolutely nothing. It still looks exactly the same. Final thing we're going to do is I want to go ahead and mix some more clear orange into the cup, and I'm just going to spray the orange spoons with more paint and hopefully make more of a darker finish, which is what I'm trying to get with the orange, because the orange is not looking, it doesn't have that deep dark color that the red has. The red definitely, it looks awesome. It looks ready to go. But I'd really like to try and get that same sort of look with the orange. Just to save time, I'm just gonna cut. All I'm gonna do is gonna spray these. I'm gonna spray these spoons with more paint, and I'll show you the result when I'm done. Alright, so I finished, put 2 more layers of paint on the orange spoons, and now I'm getting a nice deep orange color. It's a bit of a dark color on both the brass and the airframe. I don't think you can get a very light orange, at least with this Tamiya range of paints. I don't think you can get a very light, clear candy orange. However, if you're going for the deep look, the deep darker look on the colors that you're looking for, this is the way to go. Very nice deep dark red on the airframe, a bit of a lighter red on the brass, deep dark red on the polished aluminum. All 3 red spoons look great. And then same thing with the orange spoons. Once I added enough paint, needed a little bit more paint than the orange. It's looking very nice, and it's still very reflective. It's as reflective as it was before I painted the clear color on top. If you spray clear red on top of the orange, it just kind of covers it up. You can make some cool transitions that way, but you're not going to get any mixing of the colors or anything like that. Didn't really do anything other than just cover it. Airframe aluminum with clear yellow is straight up green. It's not even a yellow green anymore. It's straight up green. I don't know if you can see it in the video very well. You might not, but this is green. And then clear yellow over the brass also looks green, but it's darker. It just looks sickly. It doesn't even look cool like the airframe. It just looks kind of crappy. So don't even try it. What I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna wait for these to dry. I'm gonna take some pictures, and then I'm gonna go ahead and spray a clear over it. Now I don't have Mr. Super Clear Gloss right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray an acrylic clear on top of it, sort of similar to a future polish. It's acrylic based. You could also spray it with one of the alclad line clears, such as the aqua clear, which is also acrylic, or whatever you want. But once I put that gloss coat on top, I think it's going to look even better than it does right now. Then you can put decals on, and then you can put a final clear coat on top. If you want, you can put a very reflective zero paints 2K finish on there. Hope this video was helpful for you. I know it dragged on, it was a little long, but I wanted to show you the whole process on how these paints go on and how you can get a different effect depending on what you do. So thank you for watching.